Hello? Can you...
You don't have to look at the camera, by the way.
Okay, good.
Talk
I
to
don't
each
want
other.
to.
Yeah.
You love.
Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Paterson, New Jersey, where about a week ago now, about 200,000 people lost their water for several days. From my memory, the heat index brought it to close to 100 degrees. And even though a lot of the residents have gotten water back, there's still residents getting brown water, and there's a lot of confusion about where the water has been returned. In some parts, the pressure is not so great, even though they have water. And there was mobile showers going on for many days. This is part of the broader water crisis in America that the media doesn't cover. As we were talking about, these kind of things are happening all over the place. I'm with Amina and Bree,
Yes.
and where you guys are part of Black Lives Matter in Paterson. Let me start. I think you both have lived here all your life. Tell me, has there been water issues here before? Because this water pipe that broke was literally built in the 1800s. It was 140 years old, which is mind-blowing. Tell us about the history here.
Yeah, so pretty much I've been here since I was 6. So I feel like a Paterson native, but when there are water issues, it's normally affecting like one whole area. So like, let's say Broadway, for instance, if there's an issue over here, then everyone will have trouble flushing their toilets, having good pressure running their water. But it's never been like this that I've seen, to where half of the city or even most of the city doesn't have water and everyone needs showers. So that was definitely a surprise for us.
And can you talk about when this happened? I mean, it's super hot, so drinking water people didn't have, bathing water, cooking. I mean, obviously, that put people in kind of a craze that you were talking to.
Yes, it was definitely a craze, and even for us as workers, we were out there in the heat for the entire day.
Can you see my tan?
Yes, we all got tans. We all got tans there. People were even asking for water just to help flush their toilets, but unfortunately they weren't able to get it because all they had to provide was drinking water. But what we did was just the showers. So yeah, I also passed it to her.
So one thing that we saw is that we saw a couple people. We were at Kennedy. So the falls run through, not the falls. I think it goes into the falls. There's a river that goes in the back of Kennedy. And we saw
if you don't know, by the way,
John F. Kennedy High School.
I learned this. I mean, this was where The Sopranos was shot.
Yeah.
Parts of this city.
Union Ave, Gelati's, the falls, Piccolo's, Lario's, all of that.
Yeah.
But so behind there's a little river, and people were coming out with buckets to fill up water from the river, falls, whatever that it's called. So that they can flush their toilet, and so they can boil that so they can brush their teeth before going to work. So that was intense to see. I'm born and raised here, so I have seen water issues, but like Amina said, they're usually isolated. So like the west side of the city, or like, downtown or Broadway around here, and then it'll be resolved within a couple of days. I've known most of the city without any water. It's always like low blood pressure. It comes out muddy, but this was intense.
And did you guys know? Because most people don't know what's underneath the ground. Did you
No,
know how
I
old the water pipes were?
No, I didn't. And when people started coming over and telling us like, oh, they're from the 1800s, I'm like, there's no way. I thought they were lying, because you know how people usually like make things up or just hear something and run with it. But then it started to come out in the news, and that blew my mind.
Right, because I was doing research, and about a year ago, they started replacing some of the lead pipes in the city, because obviously lead, particularly if it's over 100 years old. So Paterson gets its water, most Passaic water county, this Passaic County started removing lead last year, but they started, unsurprisingly, in some of the wealthier white areas. So they haven't fully gotten
I wonder why that is.
Yes, the lower income African American, Hispanic areas, and a boil water advisory. A lot of people don't know this, but when this happens, the city or a state issues a boil water advisory. But if you have lead problems, that concentrates the lead even more. So you're kind of removing bacteria, but intensifying lead.
That's intense. That's wild.
Yeah. What are you being told by the city now? Because people I've spoken to have told me they're getting conflicting messages of, is the water back for everyone?
So on the post, if you look like online, you'll see Paterson, Times, and every other news source. I could be saying that wrong. It might not be Paterson Times, but every news source like Paterson, the city, is saying, water's back, water's restored, But then you see all the comments saying, I don't have water, or I don't have water pressure, or my water's muddy. The day, I think it was Friday, which was the last day that we ran the showers over there was a water break, a pipe break on Wayne Ave, so just a couple blocks. And now I thought something else was going on because you had helicopters circling. That's what they were. Were you there? I can't remember. But there were helicopters because now they were covering that story. So when we spoke to the gentleman from the water company, Passaic Valley, he said that was going to be something that we would see all throughout the city because the water pressure was coming up. I don't understand how it works, but I assume that because it's stronger, it's just going to burst all the other pipes because they're so old.
Right. And, I think you said something that broader, I think people need to understand. Just because the city or state tells you it's all good, typically it's not all good. I just did an interview with a Flint resident last week. America probably thinks Flint has been solved. It has not. The EPA declared, the Flint emergency over a couple months ago. This is year 11. Speaking of the comments, all the comments on Facebook and social media is, come to my home, smell the water, it's brown, or it comes out black charcoal in some places. Other cities I've covered, East Palestine, Ohio, where the train blew up with all the chemicals, EPA, the state says everything's fine, people are sick. So, the city and states often prematurely seem to be declaring. Right.
So my thing is that if there's people with brown water, how are they supposed to shower? Why is that not priority? Why is that? Why are we not declaring a state of emergency? Because you have kids that are having to shower in this. Their parents are, cleaning them with this water, and it's not safe. Also, the puppies.
Yeah. And by the way, brown water, it's not just lead. Iron, corrosion, sediment can often be found in there. And this is happening in all parts of America. If we spend money doing a little accounting of the age of the pipes, if you're lucky, your pipes underneath the ground carrying water is 50 years old. If you're unlucky, it's 140 years old. So before this water main, who the hell knows what kind of water was coming and how corroded it is? Has this kind of opened up more questions to the city and state about what are the ages of the remaining pipes in the city, testing?
Well, I would hope so. I'm not privy to that information, but I would hope that now we as a community hold them more accountable because so our city is used so much in all these movies. We have closures every other week because they're shooting a movie. Why is this money not going to fix or take care of things before? Because this is a problem that kind of blew up in our face. I'm sure this could have been resolved way longer ago. And so the resources that we're getting into the city should be going to those things that just because we can't see it doesn't mean that the problem doesn't exist.
Right.
Because then when it blows up in our face, the whole city was without water when BLM Paterson took action. That was on Saturday. Sunday morning, we were just supposed to leave the showers. And so we ran it from Sunday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. just to make sure that, and even that wasn't enough because we saw people coming in at like 7:45, at 8 o'clock, and because that's the time people are coming home from work. People work overnight shifts, and so that should be priority. Any income that we have, any engagements, whatever these things are called, that the city should be taking care of those problems first instead of putting garbage cans.
And by the way,
out everywhere.
By the way, Who's reimbursing you guys for all the bottled water you had to buy? Who's reimbursing residents if you had to run your water to flush stuff out? Your water bill's probably going to go up.
Right.
So where's that money coming? Because people have higher gas prices, grocery prices, rent. I mean, inflation has gone down, but still bad.
Right. I mean, I would hope that they do something and are able to reimburse the city. And so, I mean, the residents. So, like, I'll say for us, as an example, we work mostly with an unhoused community who's already lacking resources, who already have difficulty having access to clean water. We had to close down our HRC, not only because we went up there to make sure that we were able to help the community, but also because we didn't have running water and we didn't have safe drinking water. So we couldn't provide anything for our community they're already sidelined. And they were even more affected because they didn't have anywhere to go or anything to drink.
And you said you've lived here since you were 6. Can you kind of talk about broader than this? Obviously, I believe it's 56% Hispanic, other minorities, 23% African American, poverty in certain sections. What have been some of the other issues on top of the water that you guys have been engaging with recently?
Well, like she said, we've been dealing with the housing crisis, which has been an ongoing thing since as long as I can remember, and something that I can also say has affected my family as well. It's very hard to receive social services here because the lists are just so long, and especially with what's going on in our government nationally, how a lot of social services have been being taken away, or people are losing those services. Even me as a college student, that makes it even harder for myself. But that doesn't stop the work that we do here at BLM. The one thing that I will say, I was extremely concerned about our participants, because this doesn't just serve as a harm reduction center. It's not just a place where we serve coffee. It's a place where a lot of our participants come to find refuge during the day. The one place that they feel safe, not just from their environment, but also from police officers. A lot of times participants come in here because they know that at least from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., they have somewhere to watch TV. They have somewhere where even if they have issues amongst each other, everyone respects the space enough to know, I'm going to be okay in here. So that was disheartening to know that they were also sitting in the heat for all of that time without anywhere to go to cool off. So the water issue didn't just affect people who were living in homes and who weren't able to shower, but it also affected the community here on this side of Paterson.
Right. And, speaking of, in the media, they're focused on Russia, Ukraine, they're focused on China, all these, quote, national security threats. Last time I checked, the number one essential for life is water.
Right.
But the government, say that again?
I said we're dying over here. No one cares.
Tell me more about that. You feel from the water, from other things?
Well, from the water, from the lack of housing security, substance use, we have. So, Paterson is the best city in the country, but also it's so special because of the way it has been used. We had the Passaic County Jail right in the heart of the city. Right? It was just here, a couple blocks, right in the middle, smack dab downtown. So once, people would be released, they stay around this area. People that are not necessarily from the city, that may have substance use problems and so forth. We have so many programs that they come here and do create a program. Drug treatment, a homeless shelter. Well, there's no homeless shelters around, but everyone comes into the city to get resources. And even though these programs may not necessarily be extracting money from the city, they're getting funded to exploit the issues that the city has. They come in here for data. They come collect their numbers, and it's all right, guys, we'll come back next month when we got a report due, right? So.
And these are a lot of nonprofits.
A lot of state agencies, just everyone comes and just abuses the city without pouring in to the community. Because pouring into the city, giving the city money, is very different than pouring into our community members. We have community members that are sleeping outside with police officers right in front, and police officers would rather arrest them than to provide shelter. We have a program that goes around working with the police and gives people the option of, you either go to detox or to jail. We'll waive your warrants if you go to a detox program. That's not helping anybody. That's just boosting your numbers and also giving the police, like, oh my God, look, we got the criminals off the street. Like, that's where the community, our community members were abused. We are pimped out by city officials, and we don't get any help. And then when you have organizations that are trying to do the work, you receive all the backlash. You receive ordinances against giving out water bottles. That, if you look back into what just happened now, according to the city a year ago, that would have been illegal.
Really?
Because the city's ordinance was that we can't do that. We can't hand out water bottles. We can't do any community service. Had the city passed that bill that they were so gung-ho in passing, everything we did to the way the organizations, the community organizations, BLM Paterson and others, stood up and showed up for the community this last week, all of that would have been criminalized.
So basically the city, and I'm going to get to the state in a minute, the city won't put money in, or doesn't have the money to fix.
There's no way you have all these video shoots and then you don't have money.
To fix 19th century water pipes. Right. God knows what's getting leached into that water. And then they wanted to criminalize handing out water so people don't faint.
Right. Waters, that would have been criminalized as waters. HIV testing, giving someone a condom. Community work would have been criminalized. So the city, from what I now understand, right, knowing that the pipes are that old, screw the 180-year-old pipes. Let's put out mechanical garbage bag trunk things that are just standing there and no one cleans them up.
Right.
What's the point in that?
Right.
People don't need, clean streets, yes, love that. But that's not priority over drinking water.
Right. And also, I think a lot of people don't realize, because frankly, a lot of city council members don't know anything about water and don't try to educate themselves.
I don't think any of us do that.
Right. But in addition to telling people to boil their water, if you already have old pipes that probably have some lead leaching out, that concentrates the lead more, but also the filters that they're throwing at you. These are basically flimsy filters that go bad quickly and go bad if you use it in hot water. You can only use it in cold water, so a lot of people don't know that.
Right, like I didn't know that until you mentioned it. We have Brita filters, and we change them often because we use them so often. But I didn't know that we have the kettle, so what we would do is kettle it first to make sure it's clean, and then run it through the Brita filter.
Right.
So we've not been doing anything, but that's because we're uneducated.
Right. And I want to get to the state, and then we'll get to the bigger picture. The state of New Jersey is one of the more blue Democratic states. Has a lot more social services than some southern states, but high taxes across Jersey. What's the state's role here? Because in the case of the Newark water crisis, which we covered years ago, lead. Also, there were pipes exposed as being from the 1800s. The state wasn't exactly showering money over Newark to fix that. What's the state of New Jersey doing for communities like this for water and other things?
Probably nothing. I don't know. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. But I can say that I just don't understand why it wasn't declared a state of emergency. I'm, again, born and raised here. I walked those falls way too many times. I've never seen them bone dry. This was the first time I saw them bone dry. You can see, I don't know how they did that either. I don't know if they pump it. You're going to tell me that is not something monumental and something that needs to be covered, and maybe you should declare a state of emergency. That was intense. I've never seen it like that.
I would definitely say that the lack of urgency just felt like environmental racism at its finest. And it's something that we research in school, but not to actually see it in action. And then another important thing to recognize, especially when talking about the state's accountability in this, is the fact that it wasn't just Paterson that was affected. It was Totowa, it was Haledon, it was Woodland Park. All of these places are right near the falls and who use the falls as the water source. And so knowing that we weren't only servicing Paterson residents, it was the people around those areas as well that also needed showers.
Yeah. And I'm curious from you. You're in college, you said?
Yes.
So, I mean, not that you need to know all this, but I think a lot of people look at this and be like, hey, Trump's president, blame it on Trump. I got plenty to blame Trump on. I could do 2 hours. But people don't remember, the Democrats made this big thing that under Biden, they had this historic infrastructure deal. They were, commercials were replacing all the lead lines around the country. It did not replace all the lead lines. It replaced some of them, and it did nothing to, I think it's a national emergency if you have 19th century pipes delivering your water. That's going to kids, the elderly, the immunocompromised. Even if you're healthy, you shouldn't be drinking water from pipes that old. So there was this depiction that historic law is giving all this money to new infrastructure. Apparently not here yet. And under Trump, the Medicaid cuts, we just gave more money to ICE than some countries' militaries have.
They stole the money from the opioid settlement to give to hospitals.
Say that again, they just what?
I said they stole money from the opioid settlement to give to hospitals who are not first responders. That's a story for another day. But what I wanted to say is, before I forget, is that they just redid the Hitchcliff Stadium, right? Why wasn't that? Because wasn't the water break there? Yeah. Why weren't they checked? Why wasn't that part of the renovation?
And that's a sporting stadium?
Yeah, it's our first place where they had the Negro baseball league. Played here in our city, right? But they just redid that. There was all this money poured into the stadium when the initiative first took place or happened. Years ago. I went and painted the walls of the stadium, and then it took forever and a day to actually bring it to fruition. But why weren't the water pipes checked at that time?
Yes. And for you, being kind of in school, do you see enough response on water and other issues you're talking about from the federal government?
Not exactly my point of study.
She's pre-law.
Pre-law.
Yes, I am pre-law. But being a political science major, AFAM minor, I definitely did look into environmental racism at one point. And it's not just water, it's also all the exhaust and air pollution, which then contributes to higher rates of asthma in communities specifically like Paterson. And so now we need more power because we need breathing machines and things like that. And the only way to get those is through Medicaid. And when people get cut off of Medicaid, that then becomes a whole larger issue. So again, it's not just the water, it's not just the exhaust, it's affecting us in all aspects of our lives. And the only way to target issues like water is to also recognize all the other issues that are contributing to the unhealthiness of the people of our community. So it's a wholesome view, and the only way for us to hold our lawmakers accountable, to hold people in power accountable, is to make sure that we're looking at it from a collective perspective. But I would also like to acknowledge the fact that my mentor here, Bree, and my other mentor, Zelly, they went out their way to make sure that the community members had mobile showers, and the credit was not given to them or to BLM Paterson. The mayor actually tried to take responsibility for it and say, hey, we brought these showers to you, and we made sure they were here for you. But no, it wasn't them. It was the work of Black Lives Matter Paterson and other community organizations who made sure that we were out there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the heat with no water ourselves, making sure that people had showers. So that was also an important note.
I'm glad you said that, because I've been to Flint over 20 times, many other communities, and 9 out of 10 times you guys are doing the job the politicians are supposed to be doing. I read that your congresswoman was in Israel on a government paid for trip, or Israel was paying for Congress people to go over there for a
That's sickening.
propaganda tour.
To go visit people who are committing genocide when your own community is dying.
Right.
Because it's not like she was visiting the people that were being murdered in Palestine. She was going to the aggressors.
Right.
So that's sickening.
And she didn't rush back, by the way.
Right.
I can tell you that. There's a protest that's going to be outside her office on Thursday for that reason, among others. Let's talk about the mobile showers.
Let's talk about the water showers.
Yeah, so you guys kind of accelerated that. How many people did you have over?
So we did
days?
a total of around 347 was our count. We know for a fact we lost data because when there was the rush, also people were coming in to shower with kids. I'm not sure that at every time we were collecting the kids' numbers, because what was happening is people were coming in their cars, like let's say the dad, right, coming in a car with like, hey, are you guys giving showers? Yes. He would go back and bring a whole bunch of people. And I think in that, also because it was so many people, we definitely lost the numbers, but what we can say for sure is 347.
And you also lost some numbers as much as you want to share, because people stopped coming after a news outlet
Yes.
kind of invaded the privacy of shower goers.
Yes.
Can you
So
talk
that
about
was I keep calling them God, I'm showing my age. The Pix 11 News that came with their cameras and were like pointing the cameras directly at the people with showers. After that, we saw a decrease. We saw 15 people the next day, and then one person for the entirety of the time the day after, like 2 days after. So it's, as much as we try to protect our community from continuing to be exploited from the trauma porn that people love to watch, these are real people's lives. This is not just it's not just a story. Yes, we want coverage. Yes, we want the word to be out there, but never at the expense of someone's dignity. Our community members, that we build trust with them, right? They trust us. It's hard enough to come out and take a shower at a public place, in a parking lot. Bring your kids, bring your items. Like, it's that in itself is dehumanizing in a way. Even though we try to make it a fun experience, like a good experience, I can, there's a lot of stigma against that, right? And so to have someone to come and exploit that for views, that, we got comments. If you look on the posts, there's comments of people saying, well, that's exactly why I didn't come shower. I won't be going back. People don't understand. I don't understand. I see a camera pointing in a direction. You're recording. Right. Now, what you do with that footage is neither here nor there, because that footage, they have it. Exactly. It exists. They captured it. So that was very unfortunate.
And I'm pretty damn sure that Pix 11 and many others are not following up on it after the emergency period.
Right. Now that it's not sensationalized, now that it's not going to give them clicks and views, they're not here covering why people still have brown water, why people still have a low pressure. They're not covering that. The story's not over. The story's still going. So if it was such an important thing to cover a week ago, why are we still not following up?
And what's the city saying about the brown water? Are they acknowledging that? Silence?
So we get I'm dying here.
We get text alerts sometimes from the mayor, and when I look at the messages that were sent out, it just says Passaic Valley Water Commission restores service to 30-inch water main. Normal pressure is returning in parts of Paterson, Prospect Park, Haledon, and North Haledon. Boil water advisory remains in effect for some areas. So it's not even exactly clear which areas still need to be conscientious of how they're consuming their water. It doesn't tell us to use filters. And so
we're umping up the lead by boiling it.
Right. So we're just learning that from meeting you. So there are a lot of other layers contributing to this that we're left in the dark about as Paterson residents.
And just so you know, because some people like to get into it with me, this is from the New York Health Department. Boiling water does not remove lead. Boiling water can actually concentrate lead levels. So always use cold water for drinking and cooking, including for making baby formula or cereal. So it's kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul. You do a boil water alert to kill bacteria, but if you have lead, even small amounts of lead, under the EPA's allowable limit, which is bullshit, by the way, that's another story, there's no allowable limit for lead. The CDC says 0, but the EPA came up with this 15 parts per billion. That's not really based on health. It's more corrosion. Anyway, you could kill bacteria with boiling water, but you could magnify the lead. So it's really solving one problem, creating another. Tell me broader, when you're looking at kind of the city's problems, that we've talked about, do you think that Paterson might be able to come together with other cities that have had similar issues? Newark, we've obviously Flint. I think more and more cities are having these water problems, and they're dealing with it isolated. But I'm starting to see more collaboration and communication between cities to kind of fight for the number one essential, which is clean water.
So I think we should partner up with Newark anyway, because they're a lot more progressive. They do great work. They take care of the community a lot better than Paterson does. I'm not aware of. Also, this is not like my expertise, so I don't know what's going on in the back. But I would hope that there is some kind of like, hey, let's give them hell until, because at this point I feel like that is the only way things get done, at least in the city.
Yeah.
Right? If you are not up in arms and putting things on Facebook and like escalating it, nothing gets done. So I would hope that there is some kind of collaboration going on there.
And I guess my last question is, what does it say to you that, Democrat, Republican, either way, we hear this is the wealthiest country on earth, this is the envy of the rest of the world, we have a massive gap in income, it's getting worse and worse. What does it say to you?
But yet Israel has free healthcare.
Yes, that we're paying for.
Okay.
But what does it say to you that you got 19th century water pipes in the ground? I didn't know that. But so what I think is they don't care about us specifically, especially if we're black and brown communities, right? Because like, why wasn't Franklin Lakes affected in the same way? Why wasn't Pompton Lakes affected in the same way? They're also Passaic County. Well, those are white communities.
Yep, right. White, wealthy communities. Why weren't they affected? I'm sure their pipes are not from the 1900s, right? Their pipes are probably new. So, like, no one cares about us. We've seen it time and time again. Every time there's an emergency, it's always somehow the black and brown community that's affected. It's never Franklin Lakes and Pompton Lakes.
Right.
It's always Paterson.
And an example of that, which is in my book, shameless plug, We the Poisoned, came out last year. Won 3 awards, no big deal. That's on the Flint water cover-up. Definitely check it out if you can. But after the Flint water crisis, it's 11 years later, they still have not replaced all the pipes, despite what the EPA and the city claim. I'm talking to residents. There's hundreds of homes whose pipes haven't been changed, and those are only the lead service lines. They haven't replaced the water mains in the street, which is what broke here.
Yeah.
They haven't replaced people's damaged interior plumbing. But Ann Arbor, an hour down the street, white, wealthy, they preemptively replaced their lead pipes
Of course.
When they didn't have a problem. So that's kind of what, I don't even call it environmental. It's just racism.
Right. It's racism, and we see that in Paterson all the time, across the board. There is not one emergency that we have had where we have not been affected more harshly than the white communities, than the more affluent communities. Yet all of those people come do business here. Mm-hmm. They own all the properties. They do all their business here, but they don't live here. Right. So they don't give a damn.
Yeah. And by the way, it's coming for the poor white folks too. Go ask the people in East Palestine who are sick. Mm-hmm. I've covered other communities where it's, lower income, poor white folks, that whether it's fracking, mining, I mean, it definitely is a racism problem, but it's also...
Right, they get caught in the crossfire, kind of.
Exactly.
Just because it's low income, they get caught in the crossfire. Mm-hmm. I can imagine.
And one more. So tell people, obviously right now it's in Jersey, but this is a problem nationwide. What do you need from the city and state in turn, like the immediate, to assure yourselves that the water's clean? This isn't going to happen elsewhere in terms of other pipes? So,
I mean, I guess that we were first thing that needs to happen is people need to be educated, because it blows my mind that I got more with 5 minutes of talking to you than I have during the whole week that we've been working this water crisis, right? Over a week that we've been working this water crisis. So first, education. 2, change the damn pipelines, pipe water, whatever they're called. Change them all. Let's not wait until they continue to break. To other community members, get educated, raise hell, make sure this gets done, because we can't continuously be in a state of emergency. We're constantly in a state of trauma, and now it's not just trauma because of the treatment that we receive and the systemic racism, but it's also because of what we're experiencing. Pipes, what is it? When there was this, what is it? When everything was like yellow, the air was yellow, and everyone got filters. Paterson was out here. I thought it was an apocalypse, right? Those things need to be taken care of. I would like the city to step in and make sure that people get reimbursed for the money that they're spending. We have a lot of folks that own their home, or seniors that own their homes, that had to like run the water all the, this entire time, because they keep saying run the water, like that doesn't drive up your bill. Right? It's not as easy. So business owners also, for them, like give people, from closing. Our funding is in a different way, but business people who own businesses in the city had to close down because they can't use the toilet. There's no drinking water. You can only do so much. And also, like, there was nowhere for you to get water.
Right.
The stores all around were out. ShopRite was out, but they did donate. We don't have a Walmart in the city, so it's not like someone can just run to Walmart. But, just make sure that the community is better. And when I say community, I mean like direct to people and not just the city.
Right.
I think I would definitely want more transparency, and I would need more accurate information when they're talking about boil water advisories and things of that nature. It's mind-boggling to know that we're boiling water for no reason. We're raising our gas bills for no reason. I also feel like if this is going to be an ongoing issue, then Paterson residents need filters installed in their homes and for free, because there's no way that we'll be able to pay these high costs for rent that go up every single year, as well as pay for new filters for our homes and then keep replacing them. And I don't exactly know how they would be able to say if the water line is completely fixed and the issue is over if they're not also inspecting homes to ensure that it's safe for use. And testing. And testing it, yes.
Independently, by the way, because don't trust state and city testing. Right. They're often manipulated.
Right, but additionally, I think we need more clear answers as to which areas in Paterson are most affected by the water crisis, and not just from seeing, my water pressure is low, but is this clean water? Right. So I'm just left with a lot of questions and concerns, but all we can do as BLM Paterson is respond to immediate needs, as we always do.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
You guys, I'm going to do a little sign off. Okay. You guys can do it if you need to go. I'll also say to Paterson and the wider community, folks need to start talking to folks about, we're going to pay taxes, because you're paying taxes for clean water. So if you're not getting clean water, if thousands of people start not paying your taxes, they're going to foreclose on all you, they're going to evict all of you, they're going to jail all of you. If it starts with a few hundreds, not for one day, I'm talking stop paying your taxes. I know easier said than done. It's scary, families, you don't want to have your, face eviction, this and that. But if there are people organizing to get the numbers up, there's power in numbers. They cannot foreclose, evict, jail thousands and thousands of people. And they don't want to lose that revenue for the property taxes, among other things. People need to start coming together. And part of the problem is the city and state aren't communicating clearly what's going on. The text alerts they're getting say, it's been restored in most places, but there's isolated issues without telling you where. They're telling you to boil your water, which again is good to kill bacteria, but can concentrate even more lead. If you have lead problems, which if you have pipes that are 140 years old, I'm going to tell you, you probably got some lead and other heavy metals leaching off of the pipes into the water. This is not my first rodeo. I've seen the same playbook over and over again. And to the media, listen, I understand we have a happy hour. Well, not really a happy hour, but we got a long in a wide cascade of crises going on in this country. It was happening before Trump. It's even worse under Trump. But water is kind of important. I would say the number one most important thing in life. We can't debate or activate politics if we're dying. You can't live without water for longer than 4 or 5 days. And you will die if you're drinking contaminated water and bathing in contaminated water. Not right away, but over time. I'd like to know what the cancer rate in this community is and the surrounding parts, because in areas with contaminated water, the cancer rates go up, miscarriages in women go up, problems with childhood development cognitively go up. So this is a national emergency. I don't want to hear about China or Russia. This is the biggest national security issue, and the media is silent. Silence of the lambs in terms of the media. So we will stay on this. We'll come back here as it develops, as we've covered Newark in the past, the lead crisis there, as we've covered Flint for over a decade now. Again, check out my book if you can, We the Poison, Exposing the Flint Water Crisis Cover-Up. And if you haven't signed up as a paying member to Status Coup, we need you. It's not cheap to do this. We're covering the ICE Gestapo raids happening all over the country. We want to go back to Alligator Alcatraz and cover continued protests happening there. We want to cover on the ground. There are data centers now being constructed around the country that, shocker, are draining communities' water. And water wells and private homes, their water is being sucked up to cool the data centers for AI, which is going to replace your jobs, by the way. See that dystopian hell we're living in? So your water bill, not only your water bill, your electrical bill is going up because of these data centers. I don't know what to tell you. I've been screaming about this for a decade, but the water crisis is here, and it's not a coincidence that the Wall Street hedge funders started trading water as a commodity in 2020. They're trading water like they trade oil derivatives because they kind of sense there might be a shortage at some point. Not just of clean water, but of water, period. And if there's a shortage of water, not that the climate crisis isn't vital and urgent, again, you'll die within a few days if you don't have enough water. And there's, yes, we have great activists and groups like BLM to do mobile showers and, get water donations. But if you have mass water shortages around the country, there's only so much you can do. So please, again, statuscoup.com/join. Do you see CNN out here? MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, other independent outlets? I do not. It's a lot more profitable and a lot more clicky to cover bullshit all day on YouTube, to do clickbait. It is a lot harder, but actually important to be out here covering issues like this in communities. So 16 cents a day, that's all I need from you. If we got however many people are watching, even half of you to sign up right now for even $5 a month, 16 cents a day, makes a huge difference to paying our cameraman, myself, a reporter. We just hired a producer, Colin. Money don't grow on trees, so we need you to fund this important media. Thanks for watching. We'll have a video with an update on the Luigi Mangione case that we're posting later.